Yo, I'm Drunky.
I'm the Flood.
And welcome to the Fortnite Update, where we talk about all the news, patch notes, and esports related to Fortnite. Today is November 2nd. It's episode 11 of the podcast. Let's start the update. All right, Flood, so we have patch 6.21 to talk about, and it's a doozy.
I feel like there's ABC on that as well. You know?
Oh my god, man. Yeah, there's been like, what, 2 updates since the update yesterday that they put into the game?
Hot fix after hot fix. This has been a Fortnite nightmare all over again.
We waited till after Halloween to really go in on you guys. All right, let's start with the vaulted items from this patch. 3 vaulted items this time. The semi-auto sniper, the guided missile, and the dual pistols. Now, off the bat, guided missiles, we're not even going to talk about it. That's trash item, right? We're agreed? All right.
Trash.
Talk to me about the semi-auto sniper then.
You know what's funny is when they did the recoloring of all the snipers, ever since then, I've been picking up blue semi-autos, and I've been enjoying them. They also boosted the damage. The headshots were, what, like 195 or something silly? So, like, that's a pretty powerful item. If you land that headshot, second one just has to hit a body, you're done, you're good. And it's bang, 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 bang. I always used to call the semi-auto an undervalued item because I think the speed at which you can continue to lay down fire, that's very aggressive. Like, it's still better than an AR shot, guys, even when it was nerfed or wasn't as strong as it is now. It was always a decent item. And for some reason, ever since the recolor, I don't know if it's psychological, I've been using it a lot more. And now all of a sudden it's gone, and I'm a little bit sad.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, man. Like, well, first off, I'm super sad about it because ever since they increased the buff damage, it definitely became a sleeper item that people never really gave it the respect it deserved because they never realized how strong they made it. The 195 headshots were like the definition of hit your shots, dude. Like,
exactly.
Like 195 to the head is a huge amount of damage. A 75 shot to the body is a huge amount of damage. You take that thing into like a squads game mode, and you're just gonna be laying down, like, you know, you're chunking HP off the other team. I'm not really sure why they took out the sniper. To me, if they were looking to limit the sniper pool, the bolt rifle would be the one to take away. You know, I thought that maybe we should make the heavy sniper, make it there a lower value one, like a blue version of it, and take out the bolt, because those are basically the same type of item. You know, the heavy is just a lot stronger, but in terms of how they behave, they're pretty much
sort
the
of similar
same
function. Yeah.
Like they have different bullet drops and bullet speeds, but those are like the two that are the most similar. So I'm not sure why the semi, got
the short end of the stick. Yeah. It's peculiar. I'm with you on that because as you say, the bolty and the heavy very similar, mostly just reload time and base body damage. Like,
all right, then the big one, the dual pistols. May they rest in peace. How do you feel about the dual pistols?
My sweet pistolas. I love the pistolas. I've always loved the pistolas. I have been like a defender of these guys for a long time. I don't know what it is about dualies. They're fun. They're fun when you're hitting your shots. They're a great early item. If you pick those up out of a chest as your first item, you're like, okay, I'm in. Let's go. As long as you're hitting some shots, like, they can be a little bit dicey in terms of how you aim, but like, I've had so many, there's nothing, they felt good. When you hit a successful shot with those, when the guy's jumping away and you land like a mid-range shot and you nail it, you're just like, oh, I don't know why. They're more satisfying than most other guns. I've always liked them. I don't know why they're gone. I don't think they fit in my loadout late game, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. I don't think that matters. I can still use them, you know, if I want to, just for the funsies. I don't get it. It seems like a weird one to get rid of. I don't understand it.
This one was a big one for me because ever since like the redeploy meta, my standard loadout right now has been like a AR, dual pistols, and a double barrel. The dual pistols became like a permanent member of my kit. Every time I've seen them, I started picking them up. I am in love with the items. And were they strong? Yes, they are a strong item. 82 to the head with like one shot of the pistol. Like, that's a strong item. But what made it strong is that it was consistent. And anything that does consistent damage in Fortnite apparently has to go to the vault. Because I don't see any reason for these to leave the game. They were added not that long ago in terms of like the overall life of Fortnite. And for them to come in and come out, I'm just like, why did I take the time to get good with these guns? Like, you know, there's a learning curve on how you have to position, the pacing, to, you know, there's a learning curve for these things. And I took all this time, and it's all for nothing. Because now
the 6-shooter does not replace it. The 6-shooter does not replace it. It's a completely different kind of weapon. I don't know. I'm sad about it. I bring back dualies.
The 6-shooter, when they put it in the game, they had it with the intentions to remove the dualies?
I don't know. Like, I kind of think that maybe they're like, well, we've got too many pistols now, so we got to like. I feel like they keep adding so many things that they feel compelled to pull things away, and it's almost again, we've talked about this a little bit. I brought it up the other day. I honestly think they're just using a spreadsheet, and it's a use basis. Like people aren't picking up dualies, or they're dropping them at a higher rate than they are dropping these. We'll get those out of here. I think it's more about that than it is with the actual balance of the game. Sometimes I don't understand some of these decisions.
Yeah, I'll go with that spreadsheet and be like, oh, no one's using the 6-shooter. Let's get rid of the dually so they use the 6-shooter, bro. Like,
that could be exactly it, honestly.
All right, let's talk about the big thing added to the game in this patch, balloons. Balloons come in epic rarity. They come with stacks of 20, and they allow players to defy gravity by holding up 6 balloons at a time. Use your primary fire button to inflate a balloon and your secondary fire button to let go of a balloon. They can be found on the floor, chests, supply drops, supply llamas, and vending machines. Note, don't float too high for too long because the balloons don't last at max height builds. Thoughts on the balloons, initial impressions from yesterday?
We had some games together yesterday with the balloons. I feel like I'm always this guy. I was loving it. I had a lot of fun. I thought they were so goofy, but in like a really fun and effective way. They're not overpowered as far as I can tell, but they're not like they're just fun. And they actually added a scouting element that I've never seen useful. Like guided missiles were not a scouting item. These kind of are. Plus they're a travel item. Plus they're hilarious. Like they're fun, man. I like them. And I love that you can have like 1 or 2 balloons out and you get like this anti-gravity effect jumping around and stuff. It's a really fun movement mechanic that would have been really, really exciting if we didn't already have glider redeploy.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on like the redeploy kind of taking away the luster of what the balloons do. For me, the balloons are like completely underpowered. I'm not sure there's a lot I would take over it. In solos, definitely not. In squads, I was picking them up to kind of joke around with them, have fun. I was using it for the scouting, like you were talking about, like being able to go up high and like kind of call out for your team what's going on. There is value in that. But overall, I just kind of think they're in the game, taking up too many like floor spawns when you're trying to find a gun early game. I know I had a game where it was like all balloons in my house. And
they were like everywhere. There's so many balloons in the game. It's bananas. And again, maybe that's just a new item, so they're just jamming it down our throat. I don't know. I think it's a fun item, though. I'm not upset by it. I don't care if it stays in the game because I think it's neat and I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. It adds some childhood joy to my heart. And I would have
2 changes to it that I was thinking about yesterday. I don't like how slow it takes to get up to like 6 balloons, like so you can raise up. I kind of wish you could hold down your primary fire and almost have it work like a submachine gun, where you can just like pop up balloons real quick and get higher quicker. Also, when I heard about them, I thought they were going to be like a utility item that like maybe when you pop them or like, start with them, you can attach them to your belt or something so you can do other things while you're using the balloons.
That could get real overpowered though, floating around like a satellite, just sniping down. Like that would get...
Look, there's no kill like the overkill flood. If we're gonna do it, let's go like fully do it. Because
as a fun side note, they talk about how they pop when you're at the maximum height.
Yeah.
As Drunky and I found out yesterday, there's a maximum height, guys. We went up past the zone in the sky, the
portal,
whatever the portal. We were above that, and then suddenly just dead, just out of nowhere, just dead.
Yeah, you do not. There's a build height ceiling, and then there's a skybox ceiling. Don't hit the skybox ceiling. That's not where you want to go in life because
we flew too close to the sun, baby. We flew too close to the sun.
Quick change to the grapplers. They added a functionality to the grappler where if you're a passenger in the vehicle, you can use the grappler to attach to something, and it actually changes the velocity of the vehicle with the grappler. This is probably one of like the funnest, smallest changes that I've seen in Fortnite, man.
Yeah, subtle but amazingly fun and hilarious.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the big change in 6.21 that's already been hot fixed. I just want to share like thoughts on the craziness of this. Yesterday, they decided for a hot 24 hours, we were going to be doing explosive damage through walls for 25% of the explosive damage. This has already been hot fixed out of the game. Flood, what were your thoughts on the explosives and the day of reckoning that we went through?
This is hysterical. This is like, I'm usually optimistic upside guy. I'm like, I like the balloons. I like the zombies. I'm always kind of on that side because I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. And the child inside me is not yet dead, like some of you. But but this is the one where I was like, oh, no, I'm against this. This is garbage. This is trash. How could they do this? This is insane. Like what? I don't know who on their team thought that was a good idea. I don't know if it was like a crazy experiment that they immediately felt the backlash on, and backlash like no other. This was backlash.
Huge.
Like this was bonkers backlash on Twitter, on Reddit, everywhere. It was hilarious. It's insane. It was absolutely insane. There's nothing else to say about it. It was absolutely absurd to remove the one mechanic that makes your game unique, remove its usefulness, like completely. Like build fights are still a thing, but if I can't protect myself with build, why have build? Like what's the point of build? Like why?
Exactly. And like I think this is like the conversation around this goes to an overall thought process from Epic and what they're doing in Fortnite. They have, when it comes to explosives, there has been a undeniable push to make explosives stronger in this game over time. And I don't know where it comes from. It's not anything that really anyone's asking for. So then what I think about is like, what are they trying to accomplish? If no one in the community is really asking for explosives to be stronger, what are they like what are their design goals? And the only thing I could come to is that Epic doesn't want to have a successful battle royale game because of the genre, not because they want to destroy it, it's because the genre of battle royale is a very punishing one, and they have a very young viewer base or player base that doesn't have the opportunity to win games as often as you win games in every other type of gaming.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
So I think they're trying to design ways for, the younger crowd that, really, are very casual. The younger they understand this game mode because, BRs are pretty much brand new in terms of gaming.
Yeah.
So they're trying to cater to them because I'm sure they see numbers where people are leaving the game, that the demographics that are leaving that they don't want to leave. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on them? Like, their push and their design goals with this type of stuff?
I think that's a really interesting concept. I hadn't really thought of it in those terms, but one thing I've always loved about this game is that like any school kid out there could get lucky and kill Ninja with a sniper headshot. Like I've always thought that was cool. I think that's a great element of this because everyone's in the same lobbies. It's very random. There's a certain level of RNG, but better players will always overall succeed more statistically. It's like a baseball thing. You play enough matches, you're going to have so many wins. The idea of bumping explosives just for that purpose is interesting, and honestly, like you're probably right. I feel like this was a hiccup though. I feel like someone had a different intention with this. I feel like because we talked about there was ideas about radial damage, like the closer you are to the center of an explosion, the more damage it does, and people were talking about that maybe as a solution to clingers being an issue in the day. And I feel like maybe this was like their first test of that, and it immediately backfired. It's horrifying, and we don't want it.
The amount, like I couldn't find one post where everyone's like, this is great, I'm finally like loving this game. I'm just like, dude,
I'm the most optimistic guy about almost every change they make. I like Glider Redeploy, I like zombies, I like all of it, and you give but I hated this was insane. The moment I saw it, I was like, nope. Why? What? Nope. Like it's absurd. All right, it adds no fun to the game. It adds no value. Sorry.
Exactly. It doesn't add. It adds nothing. We're a week into the Glider Redeploy. They have given us an update on what they're doing with the Glider Redeploy. Let me read this from them. We finished our first week of Glider Redeploy being available in all modes. During this time, we've collected internal data and monitored constructive feedback from all of you. We understand that not all players agree on this change, but we'd like to continue this functionality in the game based on the positive results we've been seeing. So they seem to be loving it in the game. They definitely look like they want to keep it. We're a week into Glider Redeploy. Have your thoughts evolved on it at all?
I still like it. If we were talking about them doing tests based on a spreadsheet of use spaces, anyone in the game who has the ability to use Glider to redeploy will have to use it. So if you're just basing your feedback on people using it, then that's a false data set. But at the same time, I do personally like it. I think there's the number of times there's an issue with someone jumping off of the build and me getting really upset by that is way offset by the quality of life issues that I have transporting around the map, just like jumping from one hill to a lower hill further away, or not having to bother looking for a rift. The number of stairways into nothingness is kind of weird and annoying for some reason, just looking around the map, but the energy and the movement and the speed that it adds to the game, I think is magical. I think it's really, really strong. I like it a lot.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to hot disagree with you on this one. I wasn't really enjoying the Glider Redeploy. It's not that I think it's like horrible or like absolutely game breaking, but I was enjoying the game more without it. I've got two thoughts on this. One being from all this, I started playing squads because there's a squad mode without the Fortnite beer. So I was actually really enjoying playing squads yesterday, which I don't normally play. What I did start to realize is how ridiculous it is and how fast people can rotate and jump onto you. The amount of like third partying going on in squads is ridiculous. Like once you get a mid-game engagement, it is a nonstop fight until the very end. And while some people might think that's fun, I don't think that's good to have a game where like you can't reset, where you can't like take a breath, heal up, make sure you're mats. And it's not like we're fighting. If it was like that against one other team, it was just a constant back and forth at the end. That's one thing. But when these other teams are able to come in and add on with full HP, full reloads, like everything's fresh for them, and then add on to you, you're at such a disadvantage because of the rotations that are made by this.
That's a really good point. I mostly play solos, and I think I'm sullied by that because in solos, it mostly just adds fantastic movement. Yeah, you can get third party maybe a little more often, but it's not a constant pile on. You know what I mean? Which you're describing, and you're 100% correct. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
and so then my other thought is if we're moving forward on this idea that we're going to have glider redeploys, because I do think it adds value in terms of like, being knocked down and you can just float down slowly. Like is good stuff to it, right? I'm not like completely I don't completely hate it.
Yeah.
They've got to take the skydiving out. Like if you want to redeploy your glider, it's just pop your glider out and you should like be falling straight down and your glider comes out. This skydiving stuff is ridiculous. Like I don't know who can track and keep up with someone skydiving that fast. Maybe I can get a shot or two off. Like I can flick shot and get a shot and ADS it real quick, but like tracking, dude, they've got to take out the skydiving with this thing. I don't see how it stays with it.
I think that's a really solid fix. I know High Distortion tweeted out something about the idea of putting a cooldown timer on how often you can use it. I thought that was pretty smart of idea. Maybe that's more complex in terms of actually coding it and implementing it. I think your idea is probably simpler. Just get rid of the skydive element. Like if you redeploy, you redeploy. Can't just take it in and out all the time. But that or the cooldown that HD suggested, I think would be smart. Anything that makes it a little makes you like want to like it's still useful to get around the map. It's still useful to get around and do things and not have to worry about fall damage all the time. Like in a really constructive way, but also gives you the ability to, as you say, reset the battle every now and again.
Yeah. I saw HD's tweet. Man, if they add another cooldown in this game, I'm just gonna be killing myself. Waiting on another cooldown, baby. Like I got my shotguns. I'm getting killed because I accidentally swapped to a shotgun.
Well, that's just it. Like I get where that solution, I think your solution is probably a better one because of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's everything for the patch and all the discussion about like gameplay elements. Let's talk about the fall skirmish because TwitchCon is just wrapped up last week. And at it, we had the conclusion to the fall skirmish where they had 3 days of competition, 2 days of qualifier heats, and 1 day of finals. How much of the fall skirmish did you catch overall?
Not enough. It looked the parts that I caught were a blast. I was really enjoying this skirmish above the last one. I think this one was a lot more fun for some reason. I'm glad that they took out the zombies. I'm glad that they had glider redeploy. And honestly, it was a lot of fun, the parts that I did see. I loved watching Nick and Aiden as the controller crew just being dominant and having a good time with that. It was so much fun. Beyond that, I wish I saw more. I know you actually rebroadcast and did the cool casting and commentary, so I'm sure you'll have more thoughts, and I'm really excited about that. Other than that, I just want to say, go Rift Raiders.
So from like an event standpoint, like Fortnite puts on a party, man, and they do it like no one else has done in the gaming industry. And what I mean by that is I've been to last year at TwitchCon, H1Z1 had like the big hall where they did the big competition, huge venue for them to do competitions. And it was like very like elite gamer. We're taking this so seriously, lights and action and pew pew lasers. Like, but Fortnite just takes this like casual, we're hanging out, we're having a good time. And like, there's like there's a great competition going on. They want the people like that are at the event to be enjoying the event outside of the competition. So they have a lot more going on in terms of that. And like, hats off to them because they're actually treating the community like they're the event and not necessarily the competition. And that's kind of cool to me, man. Like that's something I really don't see in gaming that often.
That's something we talk about with Epic all the time, though. I think that's one of the best things that they do is pay attention to their community in a way. Well, maybe not on all things like zombies or whatever, but they were quick on those explosions. But they've always been paid a lot of attention to their community. They realize their community is what built them, and they realize that the fact that they have as many people playing as they do is because any casual gamer can play. Any kid in the street is probably playing Fortnite right now.
Yep.
So they want to make sure they keep fostering that. That's why they had Slurp Juice stands, and they had the Durburger mascot guys, and like it was fun. It looked fun. Like I was remiss not being there. I was sad. You know what I mean?
I know. I hated seeing people in the crowd that I recognized. I was like, oh, I should be there, but
yeah, we should be drinking Slurps. No.
I know. So let's talk about the competition then.
Yeah.
Man, it's a lot funner to watch this game when there's not a whole lot of lag going on at the end game, man. Like, it is a fun game to watch when there's not a lot of lag, dude. Like, the
so much smoother.
So good, dude.
100%. It's so much nicer to see that. And God, I wish they'd spend a little bit more time, less time fiddling with explosives and more time fixing their regular servers for us, or like whatever it is in their net code that makes smooth gameplay. Because yeah, exactly. Watching the skirmish when it's actually land, you're like, what? This is beautiful.
So yeah, I agree. Like, the fixing that code, that would be great, right? But how do they do it? What other game is supposed to handle 70 people in like a 10-meter like?
No, it's impossible.
I feel so bad for them, dude. Like, because they had no idea this is where the game was gonna go. You know, the way the game's programmed is like hard pillared into like deep programming, and like how the engine is so like, how do they do it?
This is already an engineering marvel. What's going on in Fortnite, and I think we all need to remember that every now and again, is the number of people that are on the server at the same time doing all the things that they're doing, building things, and it's keeping track of all of that simultaneously with very reasonable things. Like it's actually a marvel.
Yeah, so I think the only way we get to like a game mode where we don't have like 70 people, final circles, whatever, is like they've got to change some fundamentals inside of the game, not to the competition format. Like, that's the only way it's going to happen. Next up, let's talk about the redeploy meta inside of the competition. One of the things I noticed that was a big problem, I don't know if it's a problem, but for me, I found it really interesting and kind of punishing too hard, is that there is a lack of mid-game in terms of late game builds. There is, or mid ground, I should say. There is low ground and there is high ground now. And it's not just high ground, it's like ultimate high ground. They are so high up there that, you know, if once it starts to separate from low ground to high ground, it just keeps going up and up and up. Those people on the low ground are just getting punished so hard for having to take the low ground. And in some you know, circumstances, like, you don't have a choice. Like, that's just where the game is taking you, and you have to go because of the way the circle is. People who were on the ultimate high ground pretty much won every game, or, you know, went top 2 in the game. And that really wasn't the case. I think this is what led to a lot of the heal offs that were happening, because there was a lot more in this competition than weeks before. Yeah.
There's some interesting ideas about heal offs. I saw something on Reddit about the idea that maybe the deeper in the storm you are, the more damage ticks you take. Like, the storm gradually increases in how much damage it does to you. I thought that might be an interesting idea, because the heal offs they're tense, they're exciting, sort of, but it's not what this game is supposed to be about. I want to see people getting popped in the face.
Yeah. I know the announcers getting hyped up for stuff. But I'll, like, completely honest, there is nothing worse to me than a heal off.
Yeah.
All these people in a shooter game, you know, playing this 30 minute match, to end in like a heal off is just not where it's at for me, man. What I would love is like where if the final circle fully closes, you can't heal anymore. There's no campfires once it closes. There's no medkits once it closes. And then, like, let's do a reduced storm circle, so it's 1 tick of damage. And then, like, they have to find and fight each other.
Fight it out in that 1 tick of damage. No healing items work. Yeah, that could be interesting.
There's nothing for me in a heal off. It's the biggest resident sleeper out of any gaming competition I've ever seen. And I hate to be like that because I love these events so much. I love watching these tournaments. It's just then we get to that, I'm just like, I feel gutted on the inside.
Yeah. Because I mean, even then, I'm still having a fun time watching the heal. Like, I'm still having a fun time overall, but it's somehow not as satisfying as like that beautiful snipe that ends the game, or that beautiful whatever it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no, this is the guy with his med kit bandaging it. Like, that's not something about that is just less satisfying.
It really is, man.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't know. I don't know how you fix the top and bottom thing without getting rid of Radical, or even again, maybe you make Glider redeploy. That mechanic needs some tweaking. It needs a little massaging, I think.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so future of the skirmishes. What do you think? Winter skirmish? We can look forward to one?
I almost guarantee they're going to do another one. Like, I mean, we had summer, we had fall. If you include fall, there's going to be winter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what event.
Everyone forgets about fall.
Someone needs to check in on like when the next PAX or whatever big event is, because I guarantee you, whatever it is, that's how long we have for the fall skirmish to get there.
PAX South into January.
Oh yeah. Do you think it would be PAX South?
I would think it would be PAX South where it would come to. That's the next big gaming convention. It's at the end of the winter. You know, it kind of feels like a natural point for end. So I would expect it. Do you think they're going to continue the club system? I
think they're definitely. Yeah, 100%. I think they're going to continue that. Yeah, I think that was a huge success overall, because it gives people something to rally behind. Now, where Overwatch, for example, has team franchises in different cities, this one you kind of chose your team based on maybe which streamer you followed that you like, or which pro you liked, or whatever. So you just got to jump on a team, but now immediately you're invested and you get to say, you know, go Rift Raiders, let's go Lucky Llamas, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you're immediately invested in a different kind of way, and kind of like, it's a loose affiliation, but it gives you a fun way to cheer and like represent and maybe buy a shirt or whatever it is. I think it seemed successful to me. Plus, I think it, again, brought together people doing more interesting things, like your burger that you got to make for Rift Raiders and building the Eiffel Tower. And like stuff like that was really fun and hilarious. And I think that the club dynamic gives you a way to compete in those types of competitions, right? Without the club system, how do those work? Right. I think it's really smart. I think it gives you something. Yeah, people love having a team. People love having someone to rally behind. They do. And I think this gives it to them. I don't even know. Maybe they'll add-on teams. Who knows? But I think this 5 beginning ones or whatever, I think that was really smart. I think those are a really good move. And I think that's going to continue for sure.
Absolutely. All right, before we get out of here, let's get into a little bit of viewer mail. Last week, we asked you guys, should the Fiends be a permanent fixture inside of Fortnite? And we got some responses, and I don't think all of them were that positive. Here's from Dominic Moreno. He told us, they should have been relegated to the LTM, or they shouldn't be allowed to destroy structures. It's already hard enough to build and then get a mini off. If you get popped hard once by your opponent, it's a death sentence instead of being recoverable now, and there's no skill in that. What do you think about Dominic's comment on, you know, kind of where the zombos are right now?
Get outside of Drunkie's brain, bro. Yeah, no, you know what? You're not. I agree. I'm surprised that it wasn't an LTM to begin with. I was always surprised by that. I kind of enjoy the zombies to a certain degree. I think that needs a lot of massaging, especially during the end game. But overall, I think they're an interesting element. I'm not nearly as voraciously opposed to this as everyone seems to be. I don't understand everyone's hatred of this. I like all the loot that it adds. I like that I don't have to worry about shields all the time throughout the game. But I think Dominic has a lot of good points there, because I've definitely been in that position. You get popped once in the end game, and there's just it's so hard to recover. It's such a scramble. It's an absolute scramble at the end. Yeah,
I agree 100% with Dominic. They should not be able to like attack your builds. That's the worst part. I do like that the zombies kind of aggro people and let you know where they are when they're like trying to camp. People can't camp inside of 1x1 without you not knowing they're there. So like, I would like them to like walk up to a build and just stand there like a bunch of dum-dums. I would love that. Like, that's great. Them being able to attack a structure is what I think is really devastating about them being in the game.
What if it did like 1 ticket damage, like with every swipe? Like, it was like very minimal in terms of their damage. Cool. So it took a horde of them to take down a wall. You know what I mean? So if you actually let it get to the point where there was a horde, they'll take down the wall slowly still, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that would be a fix. Yeah, I like that. It's just the fact that, like, I don't know. So many late games I've lost in this because the other person didn't have the zombie aggro and I did. And there's just not an effective way to clean up a horde of zombies when you're fighting another player. It's really punishing to me.
You just have to be able to shoot them through the walls with the explosions. You know what I
mean? No, Epic was giving us the fix, and we all didn't appreciate it.
No one knew. No one realized it was all about the zombies. They're forcing us into a PvE. We just didn't know it.
Yeah. All right. This week, our question: what do you guys think about the Fortnite balloons? And do you think they actually have a place in Fortnite? Let us know down in this comment section below. And that's going to do it for episode 11 of the Fortnite Update. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the Backspace Nomads channel so you can come back for our next podcast. Audio listeners, make sure you leave a 5-star review and drop a comment about what you think about the podcast. I'll see you guys next week for episode 12. Bye, everybody.
If you guys haven't already, be sure to check out Support a Creator in the lower right-hand corner of your item shop. Type in DRNKIE to support your guy, Drunkie. Appreciate you. He's gonna edit me out.